What's going on, everybody? John Eric Poli here with my MMA news, and today's guest defeated Matt Sells by a second-round submission at UFC Vegas 45, improving now to 9-1 as a professional. I'm speaking to Jordan Leavitt here today. Jordan, thanks so much for being here, man. Really appreciate the time, and congratulations on a great win.
Yeah, thank you. It is what it is. It's nice to get the win out of the way after losing my last one. So I'm pretty ecstatic just to get out there, not get too hurt, and to get the finish.
Yeah, and it was a crazy finish, and we're going to get to that finish in just a second here. I do want to actually break this fight down now, and I do want to start, we'll go in chronological order here. We'll start with that opening round, because that opening round was an interesting round. Right, a lot of different positions, a lot of different scrambles. Just take us kind of through that round, to kind of how you thought it went, and where you thought you were at the end of the first round there.
Yeah, the first round game plan was either all the way in or all the way out. He was a lot more patient than I anticipated. So like he was feinting and level changing. I don't know why he was level changing. I was like, you're not going to shoot on me. But so I threw a front kick, hit him in the face, and then he kind of started walking me down a little bit more, and he closed distance. Got a really, really bad shot that I'm not happy with, that eventually I scrambled in, got the takedown. And then I tried to squeeze his head off for about 90 seconds, and to no avail, and my arms were pretty tired. His submission defense definitely improved a lot, and yeah, first round, yeah, I just filled out, tried to gas him on the ground, hit some nice little ground and pound, and just kept him in survival mode.
And you mentioned there, right, he was doing level changes, and that kind of threw you off guard a little bit because you didn't think he'd be shooting in on you. Well, in that second round, he did try to shoot in on you and ended up costing him. You pretty much had the fight because it was only the third, what was an inverted triangle choke in UFC history. I'm going to ask you about being a part of UFC history in a second, but I do want you to talk about that choke a little bit, because for people that were watching that fight live that day, it was awkward a little bit because we're not used to seeing that position in a fight. And as it's happening, I think everybody's kind of looking at it like, what's going on here? Next thing you know, the referee stopped the fight because where the camera angles were, you couldn't see a tap. So just take us through that whole entire sequence there, because, like I said, for people watching it was a little bit awkward, a little bit different.
Yeah, so I went out there, I landed two nice counter elbows as he was coming in for his left hook, and then he fell into a clinch with me, so that I almost hit a head kick out of the clinch, and then we clinched again, and then I threw a knee to his face, and then he stood up and then shot. So I was like, okay, pretty convenient. So then he got me against the fence, and he went to pick me up and slammed me, and I was gonna sprawl. My corner was saying sprawl, and I was like, nah, I don't think I have a sprawl. I think this will be fine. So when you win your debut the way I did, and you slam somebody, you kind of know fight karma is gonna get you back. So I was like, okay, he's gonna try to slam me because he's picking me up. So I slowed down his slam, and he got me to the ground. And then I waited for him to release his arms, because everybody, when they slam you, they have to let go to hit you or to climb up and gain position. So as soon as he let me go, I trapped his arm. And that move's kind of a gimmick move to a lot of people. A lot of white belts will flail about and lock a triangle however they can and just squeeze for dear life. But I trained under Neil Melanson, who used to co-train a guitar, and really old school highest stand grappling systems guy, and it has a judo background. So in judo, that's very common. So I've worked that triangle a lot, have a lot of reps into it. I've really a lot of confidence in it. And I just thought it was fun because I locked it in, and Matt tried to poker face me. He tried to not react, thinking that I'd let go because he was just chilling. But I knew the position was in. I could hear Mike or Chiesa saying oh, it's not quite locked in yet. Doesn't have much of anything. And then right before he tapped, you see me kind of smile, because as they're saying he doesn't have anything, I hear a gurgle, and I felt his hand touched my butt, and I was like, oh no, I'm about to get this. So I'm kind of grinning to myself, and then the tap happens, and yeah, it was pretty fun.
Yeah, what a sequence that was. And like I said, just the third victory that way ever in a UFC fight. We were talking before we came on air here. You actually want to challenge a little bit. You said it's probably realistically the first ever, and you could explain the details as to why you think it is the first ever. But irregardless of how the UFC is going to go ahead and rule that, to be a part of UFC history, whether it's being one of three or being the only one, it's got to be pretty cool, right? To be a part of that and get your name kind of edged into UFC history that way.
Yeah, I mean, I have the 12th slam knockout, and then I have the third inverted triangle choke. Yeah, so two fights, two highlights. I'm very, very lucky. Yeah, both fights that I've won had a nice, interesting conclusion. So I can't really ask for much more. I'm pretty happy about it.
I bet that you are. And if you want to go ahead to and explain why you were kind of saying like you should have been the first in UFC history to have gotten that choke. What was the difference between the way how you got it locked in as opposed to how the other two had it?
Yeah, so Luke Rockhold and Cole Miller are the other two people that got it, and they did a Kimura at the same time. So it was like a double submission type thing. I also believe Chris Lytle got one very similar, where he got like elbows and the guy tapped to the elbows. But yeah, I wasn't attacking anything but the choke. They tapped because of the choke. And I'm like, that's the first. And then I was in the UFC interview, like, that's number 3. And I was like, well, I don't want to be that guy. I'm like, oh, okay, sure, whatever. It's number 3. But it should be 1. But I'll take 3. Bronze ain't too bad, but I'll have to do something fancy. Maybe a Gogo Plata next time and make sure I get the first one.
Well, obviously you're so great on the ground, so I'm sure you're gonna have a lot of these different highlight reel submissions. But I did want to actually ask you now about your stand-up a little bit. You've been saying, right? I think you said it a little bit in the lead up to this past fight. You said it, I believe, after the fight as well. How you've been working on your stand-up a lot, and even when you were breaking down this fight so far, you mentioned about things about doing counter elbows. I think you mentioned the kick to the face and knee to the body. So the striking is indeed coming along here. Just how comfortable do you feel on your feet, and kind of talk about the improvements that you've been making in that area?
Yeah, so for me, basically, I knew Matt had really good boxing, so I was working with a new boxing coach, Padman. He worked out at Mayweather's gym here, and I didn't plan on boxing. Like, I'm not a boxer. Boxing's very different, but just in case my plan A, plan B, plan C didn't work, I might be trapped in his plan A. So just to be comfortable in the pocket and to like not be too concerned about what could happen to me in my worst like positions, was very freeing, allowed me to be very relaxed. After the first round, my corner was saying that I'm keeping too much space. So there's like a little, like, it was just jointed between my grappling and my kicking because they were too far. So the second round, I kind of was letting him like wade in a little bit closer and feel more comfortable throwing so I could get those countering opportunities. And just like the rounds and rounds of boxing this camp, even though I wasn't punching back, I was like, I could elbow parry, I could shoulder roll, and that's what I was doing. I was hitting some nice counter elbows and then getting into the clinch. So yeah, definitely paid off. I didn't strike in an orthodox way, but when you win a first round, you know they're going to be trying to knock you out. So I didn't really have to come inside of combination, work my jab or anything, because I knew he knew at that point has to knock me out, sooner rather than later, and I knew I didn't have to lead. And it's nice to know when you're up on the scorecards that they have to come to you. So I just was patient, and he came to me, and I got to try out a few new things, and yeah.
So as you're breaking all this stuff down, the one thing that jumps out to me is just like your fight IQ is just so high. The way how you break things down, and the way how you talk about the fight game, and how you just see and analyze everything that way. I'm sure a lot of that has to do with your gym. You're at a great gym at Syndicate MMA. Just talk about them a little bit and kind of how they've been helping you grow and improve as a fighter, and how it's kind of led to you being this very high level, intelligent fighter that you are.
Yeah, so Syndicates kind of was like the perfect stage for me because there were so many high level fighters always in and out throughout the year, and also a lot of fighters who, like, when I first got there, were just so much farther ahead of me in certain areas of the game. So it forced me to kind of either outsmart them or get beat up, and I don't like getting beat up. So I would always try to find ways to like beat people with more experience and more skills, but with the right tactics. Because tactics beat skill if skill, doesn't adjust. So Syndicate allowed me to kind of like use my problem solving skills in like a very tangible, like realistic way. And also, like, when I first started fighting, I realized there's just so many different skills in MMA, and you could find ways around certain like areas of the fight game. and like minimize your ability to like get hurt and to maximize your ability to win. And it's like very similar to gaming. I'll be kind of nerd out, but like in gaming, like Fortnite, for example, jacks of all trades aren't the top 1%. It's people who specialize in very specific things and they just pigeonhole everything into a very specific gameplay. And I kind of try to do that with MMA. Like I try to pigeonhole things into very specific areas where I know I have the advantage in. Like Ryan Hall does it in a very like, I mean, kind of ugly way. You know, like I'm gonna kick you with a hook kick or I'm gonna fall to my back, and you could choose to either, you know, engage me or get annoyed. But that's kind of like a very similar approach I have. Like I know I'm world class in several distinct areas, and I know people are afraid of certain skills of mine. But if I force you to engage me on my terms, like I don't have anything to stress out about, generally speaking, statistically speaking.
Well, I understood all of that except for the Fortnite reference. I'm not big into the gaming world, but obviously I know a thing or two about the MMA world just from a couple years of covering this here. And I can, like I said, I can tell that you're absolutely brilliant when it comes to this sports, the way you break everything down there. And I do want to stick with Syndicate MMA here for a second. You're a Las Vegas guy, born and raised. Of course, really the two big gyms in that area, Syndicate where you're at, or Extreme Couture. What kind of led you to go the syndicate route as opposed to the extreme couture route?
Honestly, I went to Syndicate first because I was just graduated high school and I saw Roxanne Modafferi on Ultimate Fighter finale the first time. She did it like she didn't get into the finals, but she was on the card. And there's her like Syndicate MMA, like out of Las Vegas. I'm like, okay, let's see where this gym is, you know, because I wanted to get in shape to go to Couture's. Because that's the gym I knew was big. So I Googled Syndicate and it was like across the street from my parents' house at that time. And I was like, okay, close. I can just walk there. Convenient. So I went there and it just kind of, you know, it grew on me right away. I built a nice rapport with a bunch of the teammates and the coaching staff. And I ended up fighting out there. And I still have been fighting out there like 8 years later. But I also did 1 month here at both Couture's and Syndicate to get some like more orthodox training partners and everything. So I would, you know, be remiss if I didn't like thank Eric Nixick for letting me like stop by for like a dozen workouts, because it was nice to get some new looks. Because when you're a weird fighter like me, your training partners are going to have a very specific game plan when they spar against you, because they know you, that no fighter in their right mind would ever have that game plan because they don't have the experience with me. So it was nice to kind of have a few new changes of scenery and to get to try out some new things.
Yeah, I was gonna actually say right as soon as you brought that up, where you went over there and cross trained for a little bit. You would think, obviously, being two gyms right there in Las Vegas, there would be a rivalry, but as to my understanding, there's not one, right? You guys are all kind of cool with each other. Everybody, you know, obviously, you guys know that you're two different gyms. You guys have different training partners and whatnot, but it's not like there's a bad blood rivalry with two gyms in the same town, right?
Yeah, I don't think right now there's much of a rivalry because like Couture's, most of their UFC fighters are either women or middleweights, and like Francis. So it's a lot of bigger guys, as opposed to at our gym, besides Roxy and JoJo, there's not any other girl UFC fighters, and we have no middleweights or welterweights, and then we have Khalil. So basically, there's not too much of a rivalry, like, 'cause we're not really going head to head right now, because of our lineups and everything. So right now, I think it's like the perfect time to cross train because you don't have to worry about pissing anybody off for the most part. So, you know, just with the way the dice have rolled, the gyms all the butt heads right now.
I gotcha. Now, while we're talking about living in Las Vegas, I do want to talk about your schooling here for a little bit, right? You were enrolled at UNLV. I know you kind of take classes as you kind of go here throughout your career. You're almost done, right, with your undergrad. So tell everybody a little bit about school and kind of where you're at and what the future plans are with that.
Yeah, I'm poli-sci major, so it kind of like pigeonholes you to either work on campaigns or go to law school. So that was the original plan. So I have 9 credits left, so not even a full-time semester, and I guess my senior dissertation. So a really easy semester to finish things off, but 2020 started and then everything fell apart. So I canceled that semester because like I can't be disciplined of online school. Uh, So then I was expecting to go back after the first semester of 2020, but then I had a few fights, so the bills were paid. So I was like, okay, like I'm gonna chill for a little bit. Then I got my UFC contract, and I was like, well, I need to focus on this now because it's now more pertinent. And so yeah, I'm kind of like in this position where if I get injured, next time I need surgery, I will finish that degree and things will be, all hunky dory. But honestly, like my degree doesn't really do what I really want anymore. Now, if I use my degree to either use it to like transfer into a teaching, get my master's in teaching, so that way I can just teach. But I'm a UFC fighter now, and I plan on doing this for foreseeable future. I plan on leveraging this now. I don't like the 9 to 5 now that I don't have to do it. I don't want to go back to it.
Yeah, I know. I get that too, right? I know the 9 to 5 thing. I did it for a little while too myself. I don't want to say it's overrated, like a older type of lifestyle, but I agree with that. It doesn't have to be that way. It's not for everybody. But I do want to ask this, right? I know you said 9 credits left, right? There is the whole life after fighting, right? You never know in the sport. It's crazy. Anything could happen. Do you like desperately really want to have this degree? Because God forbid if anything is to happen, that you kind of have like this backup plan later in life. God forbid if you ever have to. Hopefully you don't have to. Hopefully you go on to do a lot of great things and you don't have to worry about doing that ever again. But is it nice to have that in your back pocket? Just God forbid if something ever happens where you would need something like that.
Yeah, it's good to have something to fall back on. But honestly, it's funny. Like it's like kind of against my natural like disposition to like fall back on things. I'm more of like a fall forward on things. I like to know what's going to happen if I fail, and if I fail at the fighting thing, I could always coach. I have the mind to coach. I could always physical train. I charge like 125 an hour. Like I could make my rent doing like a few hours a week and not be too stressed out about it. I'm more of a fall forward type of person, but it's nice to know if I had to, that I can just take care of my family, because I do this to take care of my family. I love to fight. I love the problem solving aspect, the competitive aspect, but it's my job. And even though it's a passion, like I definitely see it as more of a job. That's why I want to fight so often, not because I love to cut weight or to diet or to have the anxiety, but I just like, it feels nice to like come home and I get, I fight. So I get to like have a lot more flexible schedule. I get to see my baby all the time. I get to be a good husband. I get to help. And I don't have a lot of that guilt that I feel like a lot of husbands or dads have, where they're gone for so much and so much of their time is taken from them that they don't get to like focus on what's important. And I'm very spoiled because my baby's not even a year old yet, but I've only missed one milestone. I missed her first crawl. And that was this weekend when I was in quarantine for my fight. So I'm so blessed. And I feel like I have at least 10 years left for me in fighting. So it makes me very happy that I know I'll get to be here for the most important parts of my children's their whole grown up experience.
Yeah, definitely. You have to definitely be a part of all of that, and family's the most important thing that there is out there. So it's great that you will get to experience that. And I did want to ask one other thing before we wrap all this up here today, though, and it is still dealing, I guess, along this college line here. So college is a interesting thing to say the least, right? There's a lot of different say mindsets that come together right in a classroom. There's a lot of people that you wonder how the hell they're in college and what the hell they're doing with themselves, and there's other people that are very driven. You could say take it seriously, things like that. One of the things though that comes out of college for the people that I would say definitely want to be that definitely want to take it seriously. That are focused and driven in college. So one thing that I feel like it does is it helps you become a critical thinker. And I can tell just from talking to you today, you're a critical thinker. The way how you see things and you break things down. Do you think the same thing? Like, do you think that going to college and having that type of a mindset kind of helps you out with all different things in life? That you have that ability to kind of be open minded and kind of see things and critically think in that capacity like that?
Yeah, like it's kind of like in a slightly different direction. I feel like college kind of tries to, they want you to critical think, they want you to critical think along certain lines. Okay. And I'm not very good at taking direction. I think I'm kind of resentful of authority and all those other stereotypical things of my generation. But college definitely taught me that there's like a mainstream of thought for the people that are most successful are generally people that kind of do a slight deviation from the norm. So like, yes, working hard, getting connections, getting good grades so your degree looks nice is very important. But also I've learned very early it's about how you leverage what experiences you have, and that's generally how you'll be successful. And I feel like just that idea of leveraging has always really helped me with MMA. Like, I'm not the most explosive, stereotypical like African American athlete. I don't have abs. I'm not particularly like strong or fast, but like I have a good mind. I have good cardio. I'm healthy. I'm intelligent, and I could like leverage my fight style in a certain way that makes me gives me an advantage. And one thing college definitely taught me, especially because like I grew up like a lot of like learning issues. I like didn't know how to read until I was like in fourth grade, and I was just very slow to like understanding things and concepts. So I definitely had to find like new ways to find solutions to problems. And I feel like college kind of like built those mental muscles for me, because like college was way harder than high school for me, but also it was way more enjoyable because you had more freedom to kind of like prune like your tree, so to speak. And I definitely feel like that's really helped me prepare for my fight career.
All right, that was an absolutely perfect answer. I was sitting here trying to explain things, and I think I made it sound more difficult than it had to be. The way you just described all that was perfect. Couldn't agree any more with you. Thanks for helping me out there. You really helped me out with that breakdown there. Appreciate it. So anyway, that was a great way to end today. One last thing now before we roll out, though, go ahead, plug your social media so people know where to find you. If you have management or sponsors you want to give a shout out to, I know you gave a shout out to your family before, but anybody like family, friends that you want to give a shout out to, coaches, whoever, please. Floor is yours. Take it away.
So many coaches, I'm gonna forget some. I don't want to offend anybody else. I'll say none of them. But all my coaches, I love you. All my teammates, I love you. You have to listen very carefully because I've got shadow banned for my memes. You can follow me at Monkey King _ UFC. Yeah, I don't post political memes, but they shadow banned me on the biggest night of my career. So or you can follow me at Mr. Jojo Monkey King on Twitter. I don't tweet, but I'll like things. So if you want to see what I like on other people's tweets, that's where you find me.
All right, Jordan, appreciate all the time here today, and I appreciate everyone that watched today's interview. Thank you so much for watching, and to everyone that did watch today's interview, if you liked it, please go to the bottom, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Make sure you guys are going to MyMMANews.com. A lot of great content comes out there. Good stuff on our social media pages too, so make sure you go on there, give us a like and a follow. And if you want to find me on Instagram or Twitter, I'm at John Arapoli. We'll see you later, everybody.